Hey, sophomores. Uh, Hope you are enjoying Till We Have Faces. We've finished chapters 3 and 4 and are moving on to chapter 5. So at this point, we're really talking a lot about comparisons, holding up different characters against each other to understand their different viewpoints on the world. So let's start with Orwell and Psyche. They're easily the most important comparison for this whole novel. So if you can really kind of keep your eyes on the two of them and understand how they're going about life differently, even though they seem to be such good friends, you'll really be at an advantage for understanding the real thrust of this whole book. So let's talk about two different categories in which to compare, or with which to compare Orwell and Psyche. First one is their love. Okay, they both obviously have some pretty intense love that makes them do dramatic things. What I want you to notice right now is that while Psyche does love Orwell in a special way, she also has this radiating love, this love that seems to go out toward the world. She has a love for anybody who passes by, essentially, that has some kind of need. She has a just broad compassion for the world. You don't see this as strongly in Orwell. In fact, you see Orwell's love being more highly concentrated in a kind of loyalty to Psyche, right? And it's less about compassion for Psyche sometimes as it is about maybe even possession or protection, right? And so you do see Psyche having a concentrated, focused love for the fox. Okay, it's not as though she doesn't have her special friendships and her special relationships, but when you see this love getting really concentrated and intense, it's because the fox is sick. Okay, whereas Orwell has this sort of really tight love for both the fox and for Psyche, but not a lot for anyone else. Like, she doesn't have a lot of love for or compassion for Redival. Doesn't seem to understand Redival at all. Doesn't, has some respect occasionally for the king. And the people of Gloam, not really at all. But Psyche's not like that. Psyche can have both these concentrated friendships, these really intense loves, but she can also have this broad love for the world. So that's the first thing to watch. The second thing to look out for is their anger. Okay, we noticed that both Psyche and Orwell got angry at different times in chapters 3 and 4. Now, Psyche gets angry because someone tries to prevent her from caring for the fox, right? When she's being, like, basically run into the ground by the people of Gloam as they demand that she touch, their children, walk by them and heal them, she doesn't get angry. And then later, when she goes into town and someone calls her the accursed, she gets a little irritable, she seems, but she doesn't really have the kind of wrath that you see in Orwell. Now, when Orwell gets angry, when she hears that the people have turned on Psyche, she goes into a rage. And did you notice what Psyche said? She said, "You look like our father." It's telling, it's important, because Orwell would do anything in the world not to be like her father. She despises his rage, his cruelty, right? But there's some hint that down in Orwell is the same seed that flowered into that king's behavior. So keep your eyes open for that. In chapter 5, we'll be focusing on the comparison of the fox and the priest. Okay? Again, the fox represents this clear Greek reasoning. He is rational. He uses logic. Remember, he's our representative of Socrates, Epicurus, and Epictetus. He shows us the strands of all the Greek philosophy kind of coming together in one man. And of course, he has a real hard time with the priest, whose logic is cloudy and fuzzy and hard to penetrate. It's dark. And so these are two competing forces, two competing ways of looking at the world. So before you read chapter 5, I would recommend that you look over 3 different scriptures. I'm going to put them up right now. Okay, the first of these scriptures is, as you can see, let me see here, I'm going to get it up myself. First, these scriptures, 1 Corinthians 1:18. That's where we're talking about the foolishness to the Greeks. That's what, this is Paul speaking about the gospel. So look at that, kind of get it in your head. Isaiah 62:3-5 is a beautiful passage about how Israel will no longer be called forsaken. They will be called married. And there's all this language of them marrying God. And then, of course, the hardest one is John 6, where Jesus says, unless you eat my flesh, you have no part with me. So now you and I run across that kind of stuff all the time. Hey, I'm back. You and I, we've run across these scriptures a ton, right? But I encourage you at this point to kind of ask yourself, what would it be like to read them for the first time? How would you respond? How would the fox respond if you ran across those things? Okay, so things are about to get real heated. The priest has an announcement for the king, as you can imagine, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be super hard, especially for Orwell to handle. So anyways, enjoy the book, and if you want to, I'll be available today at 10 a.m. to talk, and then next week again, Tuesday, Thursday office hours, and hopefully again on Friday. All right. Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening.